Where did all the water from the biblical flood go? After our last video on the flood, many questions and comments arose, some quite heated. But one question stood out. Where did all the water from the biblical flood go? How did the earth, completely submerged, return to a habitable state? Did the water simply disappear? Let's explore several intriguing questions. Was it absorbed by the earth? Did it evaporate? Where did all this water go? Let's discover together the fate of the floodwaters and unravel this great biblical mystery. I would like to remind you that the goal of this channel is to tell the entire biblical story, from Genesis to Revelation, and not to engage in conflict with those who think differently. Before we begin, I would like to reinforce the request to subscribe to the channel. It greatly helps the work of those of us on this side of the screen. Now let's return to the Bible and see what it tells us about the end of the flood. In the passage from Genesis 8:1-3 we read,
Then God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark. And he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. Now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heavens had been closed, and the rain had stopped falling from the sky. The water receded steadily from the earth. At the end of the 150 days, the water had gone down.
With this passage in mind, we can explore the possible scientific theories about the fate of the floodwaters. There are several theories that try to explain what happened to all that water, and we'll go into detail about each one. Theory 1. Absorption by the earth and aquifers. This theory suggests that a large portion of the floodwaters was absorbed by the earth and stored in underground aquifers. Aquifers are layers of permeable rock that store groundwater and can be found worldwide. One example is the Konya Aquifer in Turkey, one of the main sources of groundwater in the central region of the country near Mount Ararat, the supposed resting place of Noah's Ark. This aquifer demonstrates the ability of large volumes of water to be stored beneath the Earth's surface. John D. Morris discusses this theory in his book, The Global Flood. He explains how underground aquifers could have absorbed large amounts of water during and after the flood, thereby reducing the visible flood levels on the surface. Henry M. Morris, in his book, The Genesis Record, also mentions the possibility of the water being absorbed by the soil and stored in large underground reservoirs. The link of those books is on description. Water infiltrates the soil and accumulates in these natural sponges. These underground reservoirs show how the earth can hold large volumes of water, supporting the theory that the floodwaters could have been absorbed in a similar way. Now let's explore another intriguing theory: changes in the Earth's topography. This theory suggests that the floodwaters were redistributed due to changes in the Earth's topography, such as the formation of mountains and valleys. When the flood ended, the movement of tectonic plates could have raised large areas of land, creating new mountains and deep valleys that stored the water. Dr. Andrew Snelling, in his book, Earth's Catastrophic Past, explains how tectonic activity during and after the flood could have caused significant changes in the topography. Tectonic plates are large pieces of the Earth's crust that move slowly over the mantle. This tectonic movement could explain how the water was redistributed and stored, allowing the Earth's surface to emerge again. The last theory is evaporation over time. This theory suggests that after the flood, the water gradually evaporated. With the end of the rains and increased exposure to the sun and wind, the water would have returned to the atmosphere. After the flood, the Earth would have gone through a drying period where the excess water began to evaporate due to the heat of the sun and the wind. As the water evaporated, it returned to the atmosphere, helping to restore the Earth to its habitable state. Now that we've explored the theories about the fate of the floodwaters, let's return to the Bible to continue our story. After the flood, Noah sent out a raven and a dove to check if the land was dry. 40 days after the flood, Noah opened the window of the ark and released a raven. The raven flew back and forth, going to and fro until it did not return anymore. Noah wanted to know if the water had receded, so he released the raven. The raven probably fed on the remains of dead floating animals and always returned. But when it no longer found food, it flew farther away and did not return to the ark. To this, Noah decided to conduct a second test. He released a dove to see if the waters had decreased on the earth's surface. The dove, not finding a dry place to rest, returned to the ark. Noah reached out his hand, took the dove, and brought it back. He waited 7 more days and released the dove again, and it returned with a freshly plucked olive leaf in its beak, a sign that the waters had decreased. After 7 more days, Noah released the dove again, and this time it did not return, indicating that the earth was dry. This use of birds to check the condition of the land after a flood is not unique to the Bible. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, a similar ancient story, Utnapishtim also releases birds, specifically a dove and a raven, to see if the waters had receded. With confirmation that the land was drying up, Noah and his family prepared to leave the ark and start a new life. In Genesis 8:15-17, God said to Noah,
"Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it."
Do you want to know what happened to Noah and his sons after they left the ark? We'll talk about that and much more in the next video. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like so that this video reaches more people. And don't forget to activate the notification bell so you can be notified as soon as TC Bible Stories releases a new video. See you next Wednesday.